Hi, I'm John Murphy, International Vice President at Large for the Teamsters Union. I'm here today in Minneapolis at Local 120 to talk to a large group of retirees and active workers about what needs to be done over the next 3 months to help secure their pensions going forward.
Well, I'm here fighting for my pension that I've worked for 27 years. It's our money. It's not a handout. It's not a bailout. We just want our money that we put in there from our contractual agreements.
It's no secret that union pension plans have been under attack for years, and we've now reached to the point where many of them are going to go insolvent because there's not enough money coming in to pay the mandatory pension benefits that they're required to pay to each retiree and what they would owe to future workers. So
I gave my life for this career, and I gave up quite a bit of my wages way back when in lieu of the pension, you see, and now they want to take some of that away from me.
The purpose of today's meeting is going to be to mobilize and activate the retirees out in this room we're going to be seeing in a few minutes to go lobby Republican members of the House of Representatives to support the pension bill that the Teamsters developed and got filed by Senator Sherrod Brown and the Senate side last November, along with Representative Richard Neal from Massachusetts on the House side. It's the only bill that protects current retiree benefits and protects active workers' accrued benefits.
This is the most important thing that we're going to do in the next probably 60, 80, 90 days. It's going to happen that quick. You need to get on your politicians. It is so important. We have the best retirees and active members in the United States right here in Minnesota and Iowa and North and South Dakota. My only word to you that I'm going to give you today is, when we move forward, and you're going to hear it a lot today, is this. When you're talking to politicians, when you're talking to your neighbors, when you're talking to your brothers, your sisters, your moms and dads, this is not a bailout. We are not asking for a bailout. Lose that word. I appreciate you all being here today. I have the great honor and privilege to introduce one of the smartest guys right now on earth, because he's our voice, John Murphy, International Vice President, and we are proud to have all of you here today, so thank you for being here. John Murphy.
Good morning. It's really a privilege for me to be here again. The last time I was in this hall talking to retirees, it was October 2015. Central States, a few weeks prior to that, had filed the first application under MPRA, Multi-Employer Pension Reform Act of 2014, to cut benefits for retirees and active workers. Now, I want you to think back for a moment, if you can, around that time when you first heard about it, this proposed cuts. And remember what you were thinking and how you were feeling. My God, what's going to happen to us? Why is this happening to us? We can't stop this. It's hopeless. I'm sure those kinds of thoughts ran through your mind or similar. And I'm sure other folks that you talk to probably voiced the same kind of thoughts. But a funny thing happened on the way to despair. We stopped those cuts. And keep that in mind about what you did. Because I'm going to need you to do it again, as Tom said, over the next 80 to 90 days. But before I get into what we must do. I want to review for you a little bit of background, and I'll be quick. I'll try to be as quick as I can. And then I want to get into the details of the Teamster proposal, which everybody now knows as the Butch-Lewis Act, because people need to be reminded about why this bill solves the issue forever. This is not a Central States problem alone. This involves a lot of other union pension plans. And under the law, those union pension plans are called multi-employer pension plans. It means groups of employers are in the same plan contributing, okay? 130 over the next 2 decades are going to be insolvent unless something is done. There's another 200 that are in the red zone, which is not critical and declining, but is heading that way. Of the plans that are in critical and declining, those 130, you add up all the numbers, the participants, the retirees, and their spouses, and there's about 3.5 million people who are facing what you're facing. And of course, Congress's last attempt to try to protect pensions, the Multi-Employer Pension Reform Act of 2014, has been an utter failure. It failed because it put the burden on retirees and active workers by saying we have to cut their benefits and we have to cut accrued benefits. That's the only way to save pensions. It's been an utter disaster. What we've come up with is the idea that will, in effect, step into the gap by creating an agency within Treasury that will be able to loan money to pension plans. The idea of the loans would be make it long enough so the pension plans can pay back the loan on favorable terms. And how do we do that? Make it a 30-year note, in other words, a 30-year loan program, but interest only on the first 29 years, and then in the 30th year of the loan, the last years of interest and the principal is paid back. By doing that, there's no more negative cash flow. What's negative cash flow? You know it every day, I'm sure, when you're on strike or whatever, when your monthly bills exceed your monthly income. The difference is called negative cash flow. And I'm sorry to use these financial terms, but I've been at this for so long, I'm starting to talk like money people, so I apologize for that, okay? Biggest problem the Central States has right now, they get about $850 million a year in contributions. They pay out about $1.8 billion annually in benefits. Do the math. That's negative cash flow. This flips it around. There's no more negative cash flow. The interest rate is much lower than what they're paying out on benefits. So we have to eliminate that negative cash flow, and this is the way to do it. We're a union, and we're all in this together. So that gives us the concept of how a pension plan, by borrowing debt, because that's what you're doing, a loan is a debt, right? To reduce large debt. It happens all the time in the financial world. Big corporations do it all the time. We've taken that approach and applied it to pension plans. In other words, pay us less now or pay us more later. That's not a bailout. Under the law, ERISA, when they created PBGC, and this insurance program for union pension plans, they in fact created a statutory obligation to fund your benefit. A legal obligation. We're saying, don't pay us 100%. Pay us some now, a little bit less now, to avoid doomsday for the PBGC. In other words, become an insurer of first resort, which allows a pension plan like Central States to borrow the rest of the money to insure your benefit. That's what PBGC assistance did. It's not a bailout. Don't let anybody ever tell you that what the Teamsters through the Butch Lewis Act is proposing as a bailout. It's not. The government owes it to you. Let's go to the next one.
So if you were to talk to the President of the United States right now, what would you want to tell him? What would you want him to know?
I'd like for him to sign the Butch Lewis Act.
What is that act? Can you tell me what you know about it?
What I know is it's something that's not going to cost the government any money. It's not a bailout. It's not a subsidy like the government gives to other groups. It is something that in the long run the government will actually make a little money. Instead of costing the taxpayers money in the long run, they're going to make money and we'll keep our retirement till we die.
We have gotten support from major financial institutions about this strategy of insuring retiree debt. The financial world calls it de-risking or defeasement. We've worked tirelessly on this concept, refining it, modifying it, to get it to the place where it is now in Congress. We're the only game in town. No other bill has been filed to protect your pensions. The reason is because of the work that you did in opposing the Central States application. You have raised the consciousness of Congress about this issue. We got to do something. We have about 80 to 90 days to affect the committee because they're going to start drafting a report in mid to late August. Here it is, beginning of June. That report is going to be an analysis of how the industry, the pension plans and recommendations to solve their insolvency with the supporting legislation. What goes into that report is still very much in play. And that's what brings me to you. We have to influence the Republican House members and the Republican Senate members of this committee. How you do that is you lean on the Republicans in this state and in Iowa and in North Dakota. And look I know Tom has told me and some of the retirees have told me, you have some tough nuts here in the Republican districts who treat you rudely. Well, listen, we're Teamsters. We don't take no for an answer. And if you want to treat me rudely, I'm going to come back more. You got to let them know what this means to you if your pensions are cut or wiped out. You got to tell them your stories. What it would mean to this country, which says the official policy of the government is to protect your pensions. What it would mean to the reputation of this nation if it reneges on that promise. That's the stakes that we're facing. So we need to do this. We have many friends in Congress. Your other U.S. Senator, Senator Amy Klobuchar, as a true champion on this issue. You have two U.S. senators who have stood up and advocated for you. So besides pressuring the Republicans, what I want to say to everyone in this audience, you got to talk to your friends. Remember what Tom said in his opening remarks? He knows that some of us voted Republican. Well, when it comes to the U.S. Senate race, you better vote for your 2 incumbent U.S. senators, because we cannot get better people than those folks in there representing the interests of active members. It's in our hands, brothers and sisters, the next 60 to 80 days to affect what that Joint Select Committee is going to do. Remember, no one gave us a chance to beat back Central States. People are scoffing at us now. Oh, the Joint Select Committee, they're not going to do nothing. Well, I don't accept that. I don't accept that, and I know you don't too. Thank you very much. Well, that was a great meeting that we just had, and you could actually feel the energy in the room and people's spirits starting to soar. So the idea that ordinary people can do extraordinary things, really you saw that in action today. I guarantee you that those people are going to do what I asked, what Tom Erickson, the principal officer of Local 120, asked, to get out there and roll up their sleeves and really lobby and work hard and lobbying those Republican congressmen to support the legislation that we're backing.
Well, I'm Steve Petrak. I just had a great meeting here about saving pensions. My feeling on it, I'm more encouraged than I was before. I feel that the ball can be advanced, and if everybody in that room, if everybody helps just a little bit, nobody has to go out and kill themselves, just everybody does a little bit, things will be better for everyone.